Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Thursday, so happy Thursday. It's May the 9th and for Russians this is the most sacred day in the whole year. It's not a religious day, but they act like it is. It is even more religious to them than their Christian holidays or so-called Christian holidays because they actually don't hold any Christian values because the Moscow Patriarchate itself is led by a gangster. But today is May the 9th. Den Победы, Victory Day, something that every mother in Russia is teaching their children to be the most holy. You have to march with the picture of your dead grandfather or great-grandfather on the street. This is why children are being indoctrinated in Russia to do so. So they're being grown up to be the cannon fodder for the next Tsar in 20 years. They're being prepared for it. But let's begin with Russian losses. For May the 9th, the most important day of the year for Russians, of course, their losses are enormously large. And I gotta just say this, a lot of the comments are saying, okay, what are these losses? How can they be this large? The Russian losses that the Ukrainian command publishes, they have killed in action, wounded in action, missing in action. It's all of the losses of the manpower which is taken out of the action. With death or with injuries or even with prisoners. It's all the losses combined. So in the last 24 hours, May the 9th, 1,300. I would have not believed I'm gonna say this high of a number again. There are only about 5 to 6 days in this entire war when the number has been over 1,300. And today is one of these days because for May the 9th, the political order is to attack. That's it. Simple as it is. And we're later going through, for example, the military map because main attack location was Krasnokharivka in Donetsk. When I zoom out, you see the Donetsk city and Krasnokharivka. Russians were able to occupy new positions in that city itself, so it's urban warfare, urban fighting here. But Ukrainians managed to stop them, and supposedly now some Russian units are trapped inside the city with no connection with their rear units. We'll go into it later. Of course, Russians lost also 35 armored personnel vehicles, 23 artillery systems, 69 vehicles and fuel tanks. Very nice. 47 UAVs, well, because there was a massive missile and drone attack against Ukraine yesterday. And one anti-aircraft warfare system, which is, of course, these losses here next to planes are most expensive. My friends, but now we'll watch a video that is supposed to send shivers down your spine. If you have seen any scary movies, horror movies or psycho thrillers, this is not one of them. This is real life in Russia. This is Dmitry Evdokimov, a former convict with a history of 2 murders, resurfaced in Russian Petrozavodsk after being released early due to a pardon following a participation in the special military operation. Despite his criminal past, which includes killing both his girlfriend and his brother, he returned to the same neighborhood where he committed those crimes. Recently, he was spotted on the canopy of an apartment building, brandishing a cleaver under the influence of drugs, causing fear among local residents. This is a civilian residential area, meaning children. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 9th grade, they're going to school alone from this area. And this guy is just lurking around with the cleaver. Let's look at the video and then I think you'll understand what I mean. So that's the guy. Duct tape in one hand. That's the guy saying hello. There's the knife, cleaver. That's the guy greeting your children in the morning in Russia. Takes up the knife. Right? So this is how the criminals return to Russia. And there is not one of them. There are tens of thousands of them who will be pardoned in the end. And they will return to these residential areas, waving their cleavers. And the children will have to go to school being afraid every day. My friends, because I want to bring some smiles to your face or de-stress you, then I'll bring in some de-stressing content. This video just surfaced yesterday. It is Artur, the dictator of Chechnya, pretending to push a car. I'm not kidding you. And everybody understands this guy is sick. We can see it. His waist is all swollen. He should be carrying himself. He's pushing a car. No way he can do that. From his point of view, I think he thinks people actually believe that he is able to push a car if he posts a video about it. Let's see it. Look at him pushing that Toyota Land Cruiser. Look at that face. Oh, if I make a face big enough, they think it's really happening. And now I'm pulling the car. I'm gonna push it. And look at the camera crews around him to push a car like that. Okay, you put it in neutral, you get a good stance, you make sure your back is not in the wrong position, you use your whole body. It's possible humanly. Not with that stance, not with that hand position, not with that drugged up swollen face. I'm sorry to say this. This is pure Kadyrov's propaganda. It makes me smile and it's a de-stressing content for me. Hope it is also for you. My friends, very positive communications come out of Lithuania, one of the Baltics, and I love this because this needs to be a regular, frequent communication of all the Baltics, Finland and Poland. Lithuania is ready to send soldiers to Ukraine as part of a training mission. Citing the Lithuanian Prime Minister Šimonytė. The thing is, not to fight, but to train, and I think Estonia and Latvia are also ready to do that. Of course, our parliaments have not yet proved this, but I think they would, and why not? Estonian, Latvian, Lithuanian only, and the worst threat is Russia. Ukraine is being a god-level shield to the Baltic states right now, so we understand it, and we want to send everything we have, even soldiers, even not if to fight, then to train the Ukrainian soldiers. We stand with every cell we have behind the Ukrainian cause and victory. This is why thank you to my Lithuanian brothers for choosing such leaders who deliver such messages. Lithuania is ready to send soldiers into Ukraine. I love it and I stand behind it. My friends, today's snippet from my previous convoy. I returned to Estonia a week ago from Kyiv. NAFO 69 Sniffing Brigade convoy, 4 trucks you guys bought and a lot of drones. Here is an accident that happened. We have never had an accident. This was the 24th convoy already, and it took 24 convoys for the accident to actually happen. There was a huge truck in front of that car. The truck's tire burst, brakes were smashed, and the convoy NAFO car rammed it from behind, and the front part was destroyed, as you can see. And you can see the mechanics trying to fix it. They're car wizards, they do their magic. And very fast, some calls were made and some guys from Lithuania came to pick up the car. We paid them in cash. The car was brought back to Estonia and it's already being fixed. It was handled really fast. Also, to calm you down, no, this was not the car that you guys bought through me. This was some other guy's car. My cars, the cars that you bought, REHI trucks, all made it safely into Kyiv. If you want more stories like that, then my Instagram is the best place for it because I post everything there. My friends, now let's touch upon the subject of May the 9th, Den Pobedy, Victory Day in Russia. This is one of the posters on one of the buildings in Russia. As you can see, it's a very Russian-style poster, but this is a Pentagon behind it. Exploding Pentagon with a Russian plane flying over it. So it's like Russian plane is bombarding Pentagon. How does that make you feel as an American if you watch this? I'm not saying that all of the viewers are American. I know that 35% are. I see the statistics. So 35% of you, how do you feel about this? That Russians are showing this to their own population and normalizing this killing Americans. How do you feel? Also, look at the dates here. They are important. 2014 to 24, that's of course the Ukrainian War of Independence going on now. 41 to 45, the Russians don't count 39 to 45 as the Second World War. They count the Great Patriotic War, Народная война, whatever they call it, is when the Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union. That's when they started counting that war. 1812, the War of 1812. Then there is the Duchy of Polish Lithuania and Muscovite wars of 1609 and 1618. These wars really touched Estonia also, the Estonian territory. Our people, my people, were very directly affected in that Russian expansionist war. And then there was 1237 to 1480, which is the Mongolian invasion, and I cannot even call it occupation, but Mongolian invasion of Muscovite areas. I mean, some of the Muscovite princes really worked together with the Mongols. They were fighting each other anyway. So this is pure propaganda here. My friends, for the Victory Day parade, the streets around the Red Square, of course, are closed. So people who want to put flowers on the soldiers' tombs and in the Red Square, they have to do that before it. So here we see a ton of cars, like 100 machines, and civilians or people going to put flowers on the fallen soldier's tomb, something they always do, or the eternal flame area. They commemorate, in their eyes, war heroes. but in actuality, war criminals. Because Stalin's order about Berlin, when Berlin was taken, Stalin had a very specific order about the women of Berlin. I cannot say this in this video, I cannot say the word, and I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. Stalin ordered this to the Red Army to do this. Every Red Army man who went to Berlin had an order from Stalin. It was an order, you couldn't refuse it. So it was state-orchestrated violence against the women of Berlin. And these guys who did this are being commemorated here in this video. So they are putting flowers to the tombstones of, I cannot say the word again, but you know what I mean. So yeah. And here, my friends, we can see Russian children being indoctrinated from a very early age. Because in 20 years, another Russian Tsar will want to use some cannon fodder, some meat, human meat, to protect their tanks as human meat shields. And these children are perfect for it, because they will take 20 years of indoctrinations to go and die for their Tsar without thinking about it. So you gotta get them early. Hitler knew it, and Putin is copying that. This is Putin's youth in Russia. These children are innocent. They don't know what they're doing, but their parents do, their advisors do. They will be molded into a weapon of terror. My friends, talking about the Victory Day, how it's going in Europe, is that Germany has banned all Russian flags, military uniforms, posters with the letter Z or V, and other symbols and signs that may glorify Russian war against Ukraine during May the 9th events in Berlin. But still, we see different videos of Russians dancing in the streets of Berlin with the flags, playing accordions, and celebrating death and genocide in Ukraine. This is not okay in my eyes. It doesn't happen in Estonia. The Estonian police is very much strongly on the top of that situation. And I do have a lot of respect for our police, a lot of trust also. I know that is an issue in some countries. The population versus the police is like a divide. Not in Estonia. We trust our police and they're doing a magnificent job against the fifth column of Russians in Estonia. The fifth column is almost non-existent now. Unfortunately, in Germany, the Russians are still allowed to dance on the streets with the red flags and with the Russian flags. I say stop that. I say arrest them, because they are glorifying death and genocide happening in Ukraine. My friends, yesterday, like the day before, it's almost a daily occurrence now, Ukrainians struck another Russian oil depot. Not an oil refinery, but an oil depot, and we can see these familiar looking tanks, oil tanks from up above. It's quite easy to attack them because they're filled with, well, oil or oil products, which are very flammable. So you don't need much to make a huge kaboom, to make beautiful fireworks, which is very hard to extinguish and which takes away from the Russian army a lot, because they need fuel. Every army runs on fuel, including the Russian army. So this was Krasnodar area, and they used 6 UAVs, which the Russian Ministry of Defense claimed to have shot down. But then why do we have a huge fire and oil tanks burning? I don't know. You gotta ask them. I guess they didn't shoot them down. The thing is, oil prices. You know what the United States was afraid of? That they're going to rise when Ukraine attacks Russian oil depots. The oil price decreased yesterday. It went down, although Ukraine has been regularly attacking Russian oil depots. So it's the opposite effect, which is wonderful. I love it. Ukraine is free to attack Russian oil depots and the oil prices go down, which indicates United States support for the activity. But this wasn't it, my friends, because it's Krasnodar region, oil depot on fire all night, very yada yada, beautiful. But we go to far east, like the far east, an island close to Japan. On that, a whole docking area was on fire. You can see it on the video. So these fires are a daily occurrence in Russia, and it's just one fire. It burns till morning, everything is destroyed, and we don't see a video of the next year when they have to rebuild it. It's a huge work, taking huge crews and a lot of money and resources and time. We only see that one video, which I mentioned like that in my video. But if you translate all of these fires, which are daily occurrences, into the building time and resources it takes to restore them, let's just put money, pure like cashier sound, ting ting on it. It's like minus 15 million, minus 20 million. Each of these fires is like minus 20 million. red thing out of the window. So it's very, very, very bad for Russia. Now, my friends, I have to say a disclaimer. I focus on destruction on Russia in my videos. Of course, there are destruction in Ukraine and Ukrainians are taking losses. Some comments are saying, oh, this guy is saying like Ukraine is winning. No, my friends, Ukraine is not winning right now. The situation is very bad in Ukraine. The front lines are stabilizing, yes, thanks to United States aid and European Union aid and the ATACMS and shells which are reaching the front actually as we speak right now. But Russians are still very slowly advancing and their offensive capabilities are at all-time high. 1,300 losses today, meaning they attacked everywhere. So Ukraine is not winning. I don't think they are right now. The situation is very, very hard for Ukrainians, and we need to do everything we can, especially me in Estonia, because my country is next. As a little Victory Day present for Russians, Ukrainian hacker army hacked all of the TV stations in Crimea, every last one of them, and they all broadcasted this video about the rebirth of Nazism in Russia. This video, Zelensky was speaking and addressing Russian population, and they all were educated about the true Nazism which is right now in Russia. My friends, and now we will watch a video together. What would Russian victory look like? I'm not talking about it at all on my channel, but let's just go into it. Let's just full head go into what is sheer Russian victory in Ukraine. What is the world and the EU going to be after it? Not looking good, but I think we have to be aware of this. Otherwise, we would be ignorant. We would hide. We would deny. But if you see this outcome, you would think differently about this conflict. Is this the future you are wanting? Zelensky signs the act of capitulation to Russia. Russia's victory, Ukraine has surrendered. Parade. Zelensky was eliminated, Yanukovych is back. And Ukraine is fully occupied by the Russians. Two largest armies of European continent are about to merge, making a huge damn army. This is a very scary thought. Ukrainian and Russian armies, if they were to merge, this would be one of the most powerful armies in the world, except for the United States, of course. So what's next? Who's next? Hungary. We are Hungary. This is Orban, of course, Putin's puppet in Europe. Unfortunately, he is the most dangerous country in the European Union right now. Hungarians demand Orban to leave. Orban asks Putin for help. This is how it happened in the Second World War also, when Germany was slowly annexing Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia demanded Danzig from Poland. All of these things happened one by one. And now Putin is ready to help Orban. Tanks go to Hungary and boom, the European Union is split. NATO cannot respond without Hungary's requests. Hungary doesn't request it. When we completed the denazification of Ukraine, we need to deal with the Baltics. Yes. Lithuanian parliament destroyed by explosion. Of course, this would be a false flag operation. President assassinated. There is no one to ask for NATO's help. And boom, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania occupied by Russian forces. NATO and European Union always run into the steel wall of their own bureaucracy. World rules-based order we have right now, they do have to be done according to these rules. But Russia doesn't play by these rules, so they can use the loopholes in NATO's and European Union's bureaucracy, that they're so slow, they're like very huge ships turning. They can use them, and this is what we see in this video. If Lithuanian president doesn't ask for NATO's help, or Hungary doesn't ask for NATO's help. The western territories of modern Poland are Stalin's gift to Poles. This is Putin's words. Подарок Сталина полякам. Stalin's gift to Ukrainians was his orchestrated famine of Holodomor, which killed up to 6 million people within 2 years. This was Stalin's personal order because he hated the Ukrainians, wanted to purge them off the land of the Soviet Union. If Putin is citing that man, Polish people, you know what is awaiting you. Russian invasion of Poland. This is the nuclear convoy of Kyiv. It's supposed to be like a scaring video of, Russian armies coming and this huge convoy. But this was a huge, massive failure. This convoy, there was 100,000 troops who couldn't move front or back, couldn't eat, they didn't have any fuel. This was bad. But okay, let's go on. Poland asks, NATO for protection. Now finally we get Article 5, let's trigger it. We don't want to start a nuclear war, and now we see the picture of Scholz. We don't want. We're afraid of escalation. There is nowhere to escalate, my friends. Genocide is happening in Ukraine. There is nowhere to escalate. In Estonia, we don't care about the nuclear war. You know why? Because it doesn't matter if you die through a nuclear blast or a Russian tank. You're still dead. Cannot do anything about the nuclear war, but we can do a lot about the tanks. So this is why there's nowhere to escalate for us, because we live in the reality of death is coming anyway if we don't act right now. So this is unfortunately not our luxury to say sentences like, we don't want to escalate. We don't want a nuclear war. We don't have such luxury in the Baltics. Poland is Russia now. They must burn Berlin, Paris, Madrid, London, Washington, the capital. Where should we draw the line? I like this question because the media and the Western politicians are speaking like, we don't want to cross Putin's red lines, and they're actually respecting Putin's red lines by not sending this and that to Ukraine. We have to draw the lines. Putin has crossed every one of, I will say now, our lines. As European Union and NATO, Putin has crossed these lines. I don't see strong leaders. I need to see strength. Estonia is so small, we would lose immediately, but we still okay, let's do it, let's go. Undertaker takes on the big dog. Where's the fear in that? Why are big countries in Europe afraid? What are they afraid of? Stand up. Russia's borders do not end anywhere. That's what Putin will end with. I would like to know what emotions this video caused in you, and put it in the comments. I would like to read, because I know what I see. I don't feel fear. I feel like I will fight it with everything I have. And connected to that, my friends, I'll show you a map of the reach of the Russian Kinzhal missiles, which can be shot down with the Patriot, of course, but we don't know if it can be shot down with anything else. So if your country doesn't have Patriots, then you're not sure. For example, in Helsinki or in Oslo in 10 minutes, in Berlin in 9 minutes, Prague in 9 minutes, Bucharest 6, Athens 10 minutes, only 10. And then huge explosions in the massively populated areas. So do you want this in your country? If not, then give Ukraine the capabilities to destroy this system of Russia. They can do it. They want to do it. We need to enable them to do it. Now, my friends, as I mentioned before, Ukraine is in a very difficult situation. They need a mobilization, and they need it fast, because Russian manpower is growing and Ukrainian manpower is diminishing on the front line. So the gap is being wider and wider. This is why Ukrainskaya Rada, or Ukrainian parliament, passed a new bill that allows mobilization from prisons. Now, there is a difference. If I just started with the video with the Russian prisoner being very crazy with his knife and drugs, this Ukrainian law is very different. Those convicted of serious premeditated crimes like murder and other very, very serious crimes will not be mobilized and will not allowed to be mobilized. Only minor criminals are, like minor theft and these guys. So there is a huge difference on that, huge difference. But this also shows the desperation of Ukrainians, because they need manpower. Otherwise they would not do this. And I don't want to hide this from you, so this is why I report it. My friends, now some good news to carry you on with your day, because you need some good news to you just need to feel good. You need to feel good in life, all right? The president of the Czech Republic announced that the first batch of ammunition purchased through their initiative will reach Ukraine in June. This shipment includes 180,000 Soviet standard artillery shells from various countries. Initially, there was hope that the first deliveries would arrive in late April or early May. The Czech president directly blamed Russia's countermeasures for slowing down the process, but noted that they didn't stop it. Now we know 180,000 artillery shells to be delivered now after 1 month. This is very good news. I gotta applaud the Czech people. Petr Pavel, the president, he's like a superstar. Somehow he conjured over 1 million shells. Wonderful. That is greatly done, and thank you for the Czech people for electing a president like that. Or electing representatives who elected the president. It's anyway done by the Czech people. Thank you. And this will make a huge change in Ukrainian defensive capabilities and in Russian losses, because artillery shells, they kill. That's what they do. They kill very efficiently if you have many of them. So right now, these 1,300 we see in today's losses chart, mostly done by drones. Add artillery shells to it, we will see numbers like 2,000 there. So this is great news. My friends, and now, like I do at the end of every video, it's time to butchers and buy me a coffee names. Monthly members. Quinn Kelford, Sean Neike, Leav Head, Barbara, Kate E. Vickersham, Mathiasian Gilbert Albert, Doug Shaplake, Don McHuttie. If you recognize your name, then I thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting the channel. You're a monthly member and you deserve your name to be butchered to the orbit. Thank you, my friends. Until my next video, which will be tomorrow, press the subscribe button and the bell notifications button. Slava Ukraini!